Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo artisans. We're going to take a look at the charts today. We got a couple of events coming up in the week as well. But before we get to that, please go ahead, get your free Algo. Link is in the description. Go ahead down there, click on that, send us your email, give us a name. I don't care if it's fake or real, and we will send you your Algo immediately. That'll be the next page right after you hit enter. We'll also give you weekly updates and let you know when we're going to have a free workshop. Okay, so what are we going to look at today? As usual, Bitcoin, Solana, EURUSD, GBPUSD, USDJPY, USDCAD, GBPJPY, AUDJPY, AUDUSD, USDCHF, SP500 Futures, Dow Futures, NASDAQ Futures, Gold, and Silver. Future shows I might not do SP500 or Dow because NASDAQ and everything else seem to run together. NASDAQ's a bit more volatile. We'll see. Okay, before we get into all of that, let's take a look at the economic data that's coming out this week. Okay, so tomorrow we have a little data coming out for Canada. Trading the Canadian, anything is going to be tricky. The election's a big deal, although it's pretty well predicted that Carney's going to win, so maybe it's not going to be so wild. But there will probably be volatility, and that always could be a surprise, you never know. Not a lot going on for the JPY. Bank is closed. Tuesday there's JOLTS job openings, and that's going to be at 10 a.m. EST. And then for the Aussies, they have at 9:30 p.m. EST their CPI data. So the Aussie could get wild. And let's go ahead and move down to Wednesday all day, the German prelim CPI. So it's going to be tough to trade the euro on Wednesday. Also, you have some USD data, GDP, employment cost index, and that's all coming out at 8:30 a.m. EST. So the euro data should be done more or less by halfway through the New York session. It's really hard to say. I just doubt they're going to talk about it that late at night over there. But 8:30 a.m. there's some data, and then again at 10 a.m. there's core PCE price index. And some say that that's more important than CPI. I'm not sure the market thinks so, but some say. Now this is why my predictions go only until Wednesday this week. It's because of this. We have the JPY's Bank of Japan policy rate, monetary policy statement, and outlook report. And those are tentative. We don't get a time when that's going to happen. So that plus the US data being maybe pretty strong means that whatever I say could be just turned on its head very, very easily. Not to mention that any prediction I make just can be thrown out the window by something Trump says. And, we're in quite that environment right now. Now, all the European banks that matter are on holiday Thursday, so it's probably going to be pretty quiet, at least in the European session. We do have unemployment data coming out at 8:30 a.m. EST for the USD, and then again at 10 a.m. we have ISM manufacturing, and some of the news things that might hit pretty hard on the markets. Friday at 8:30 a.m. EST, we have hourly earnings and some other unemployment or employment data, however you want to look at it. And then Australia has their parliamentary elections, so that also could be a pretty big deal, right? So I'm only going to predict through Wednesday, and remember, these predictions are based on what the algos say. So news can really run rampant with these charts, change everything. This is just to know which way the wind is blowing without any big surprises. So let's take a look at the charts. We'll start with Bitcoin as we traditionally do. We might start with NASDAQ soon. I think that's affecting Bitcoin and everything else more than Bitcoin's affecting anything else. So I think NASDAQ is going to be the most helpful to start. For now, we'll look at Bitcoin. I do think it's going to pull back, but not that far. It's right now sitting at 93, had a big week last week. I think there's going to be a pullback. Might not even pull back past 88K. We're just going to have to see how it behaves around that 91,000 level, which is historically very important. But at this time, I do believe there needs to be a pullback from the big move that we saw in the last couple of weeks. And again, the NASDAQ itself does seem to have some weight on top of it. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But I do think the move down might be rather sudden. It could do a lot of things, but that's what looks like it's going to happen to me. We'll see how it turns out. Let's take a look at Solana. Solana looking bearish as well. It might bounce at about 136, but if Bitcoin continues down and or NASDAQ continues down, it could head down towards 120 or so. Things could change really quickly and it could just head up, but I doubt it at this point. Let's take a look at EURUSD. Now, the euro and the British pound seem like they're going to slide down a bit, and if you zoom out, there's been a massive move up going since the beginning of March, if not earlier. It's been very bullish. There's got to be a pullback of some kind. Now, the pullback, I think, will initially only go down about this far, which is down to 111.48 from the current price of 113. In the Forex world, that's a big pullback, but I'm not sure if it's going to continue down. This move up has been so gnarly. I think we could see it just kind of inch down over the next few days, grind down slowly. Might not even go that far. I have have a couple of other ideas here, as you can see, where it might actually grind down to some lesser supports. With the markets being what they are right now, some things being closed, anything can happen. But the most likely path, I think, is down to about 111. Let's take a look at the cable, GBPUSD. Very similar to the euro, they tend to roll in tandem. I expect to move down to about 131, but it could stall out, go sideways, or slightly less down to maybe 132 or so. Let's take a look at USDJPY. Okay, so USDJPY right at that resistance, and it, I think, is going to press up through, but with the BOJ being closed tomorrow, we might not see a lot of action. It might just kind of sideways, or not. I mean, if the USD were to move a lot, then it might continue up. However, with the JPY's bank rate, really a lot of things can happen, and there has been talk that they're going to defend their currency, but then they haven't been doing it. A little bit unpredictable, and in August of last year and June of last year, we saw what happened when they did decide to defend their currency, and everything kind of went cattywampus. So you never know what's going to happen. But outside of that, I expect to move up, and it could go as high as 145, 146 yen. We'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at the loonie. Look, I drew this sideways, but really all bets are off. We have an election, and it's a pretty important election. So, I mean, this is what the algos say. Move sideways, maybe pop up. I mean, it's all very sideways. There's not a lot of room right now. There's not a lot of volatility, and it might be because the election is coming. So I'm not going to really put a lot of stock, if you will, into this prediction. I'm just going to move on and take a look at the beast, GBPJPY. JPY pairs will all look sort of the same, sideways to uppish to me. That's what they look like. Now, the GBPJPY does have 191.97 or so as a resistance, so it might not be able to break past that. But if it does, there is a lot of liquidity for it to have up between 191.96, or let's just say 192, all the way up to about 196.04 or 05. So price could break up there and rotate. It just depends on what it does. Let's take a look at AUDJPY. You'll see very similar to the other JPYs, sideways and up, and you have liquidity between 91.89 and 95.39, but it's already sort of breaking into that one in this case. So I do expect it to kind of move up a little more freely than in the other pairs. Let's take a look at AUDUSD. Now, this is one of the more bullish pairs, but it has been running pretty hard. I think it's going to have to cool off a little bit over the next couple of days, plus you have an election there. With the election, anything can happen. I think it's been waiting, perhaps, for the election, and when that election is over, there may be a lack of uncertainty and money flows back into the AUD, so I could see a pop up here pretty quickly, but I'd be cautious with that one as well. Let's take a look at the Swissy. Swissy pretty bullish, and it could break out. It wants to break out, so I would not be surprised to see it head sideways a bit and then break out to the upside. It does have resistance sitting around about 86 Swiss francs, so we could see a bit of a stoppage on that move up. Let's move on to the SP500 Futures. Okay, so Dow and SP500 have a little bit of difference between themselves and the NASDAQ in this case, because they're at a resistance now, but then they share a similar sort of structure all the way up to here at this, in this case, 58.40. But right now, price is struggling to make it up past 55.37. I think it very well could, but it might need to pull back first. We're going to see what happens. Really, I'm expecting kind of sideways, but maybe a pop up or slightly down. Not a lot going on here unless there's a surprise of some kind. Let's take a look at Dow Futures. Similar to SP500, resistance overhead, so price might only want to go sideways and not be able to break above 40K620, but if it does, it's going to find a roof around 41,180. Okay, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Now, NASDAQ's a little different. It's already above its own local resistance right here at about 19,407. So it might not have as hard of a time heading up, but I do think it might just get pulled back a little bit and then head up after that. And of course, brace for any surprises this week, especially with PMI data coming. Let's take a look at gold. I think gold's going to cool off. In fact, you can see I drew it before the open, and it certainly has cooled off even faster than I thought. So the market may happen way faster than what I drew, but there is a pretty decent support sitting at 31.80, 31.75. However, gold might need to cool off after the big run, and it might have to eventually head down below 3,000. We're going to see if that happens, but I think it might have a little bounce at about 31.75 by Wednesday. We'll watch how it goes. Let's take a look at silver. silver doesn't have the benefit of such strong support locally. It does have some support sitting at about 32.08, so price may stall on the way down, but silver also has been less volatile than gold, so it might not have the strong drop that gold has either, right? Easy up, easy down, slow up, slow down. So I think silver might just kind of go sideways to down. If it breaks below 32, it's probably going to find some support at 31.31. All right, thanks for watching. Like I said earlier, go ahead, get your free algo, links in the description, click on it, give us your email, give us a name, fake name, real name, we don't care. The next page you see will be the algo. We'll send you weekly updates. We'll send you as far as when we know we're going to have the workshop later this quarter, early next quarter. That's going to be free. You watch me trade for a few days and it'll be great. So really hope to see you there. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget algofactory.tech. We will help you learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. We'll see you next time.